my sack. All right, so we got a rough placement of the decal. So we talked about that pen line that we made, our measurement 6 inches off the top. So I lined the top of our crest, top of our decal up with that pen line. And then inside of that, as far as our left to right goes, I lined up the point on our crest, that shield right here on that crack, which is going to essentially be our center line. Again, if you had the bigger wall where you were going to make the pencil lines, that's what you would line it up with. It's important to note that you're not lining up this edge of the decal with it, right? We're not going right to that edge because there is overlap with the other decals. So you want the center of your logo, that point, to be on your center line for your layout. Once you've got it up here on the top, you want to kind of pull out the tension in the decal and make sure to check your bottom as well. So we got the same point down here in the green. That's lining up right on the center line for our decal. So now that we know that we've got it in a good place, we're ready to hang it. Is this just going to be 20 minutes of my ass in the shot, pretty much? Yes. The people.
What are you going to do?
I mean, what are you going to do?
I don't know. Is this intended to be a two-person job?
What are you going to do? You would pull it?
So I would pull the backing off, stick, and then work down slowly, right? How are you planning on doing?
Yeah, I was going to fold it back. Just stick it.
Okay.
So we need to take it down, right? Or I guess I could try to peel it back on there.
You can wedge your backs against the wall to hold it. So I'm saying, do you want my help, or do you want to do this by yourself? For the video's sake.
Okay. Let's say help. All right, so we're ready to start applying the decal. I've got my helper here. He's going to help make sure that we're keeping it in line. For our first step, we're going to peel back probably about 8 inches or so of the backing so we can get that top stuck. And then we're going to check our alignment, make sure we're in a good spot, and then we'll start actually pressing it down. Start peeling. All right, so we're folding the backing back. We're going to put a big crease in it so it lays nice and flat. Really push that backing down. And then push the decal back up. Checking to make sure that, again, we're lining up the center of our logo, that point, with our center line, and making sure that the top of our crest is hitting that pen line. Once there, we get a light press. We don't want to go full on pushing the decal on yet. We want to make sure and check our bottom alignment again. Make sure that we didn't let the decal, one side of it, drop. So you may have to kind of push out all the bubbles and stuff of the backing, push it nice and smooth. Essentially how it's going to lay nice and flat. You don't want it to be sitting away from the wall. We good? All right, still good. All right, so squeegee technique with these. Anytime you're doing a decal, you want to go from the middle out. So I'm going to start the way I like to do it. I'll start in the middle, squeegee to the right, and then I pick up my squeegee, come back to the middle, and I'll push to the left. Then I'll come down about 3/4 of the width of my squeegee, do the same thing, middle, out, back to the middle, out the other direction. You want to make sure that you're staying in line, that you don't get too far below because we don't want to leave any gap, any air bubbles in there. So make sure that you're overlapping your swipes with the squeegee. Now that we've got this top pressed on pretty well, we're going to start just pulling the backing down. The decal should hold itself up. We're just going to pull down a few inches, 8 inches, 10 inches, something like that. Then you're going to take your other hand and you're going to push down with a little bit of pressure. That helps pull that decal nice and flat. If we just let it kind of hang, it could keep it a little bit loose and you'll end up putting a wrinkle into it. So we put a little bit of tension down and then we continue that same pattern with our squeegee. So let's say we did get a bubble. So far, we've been pretty good. We're on a pretty forgiving material as well. Say we did get a little bit of bubble in here, or we got a little too far, we get a little wrinkle. The material is very forgiving. You can pick it back up, kind of pull it off the wall, and redo that section. So don't be afraid to actually pull that back up and go back and fix it. Not a big deal. If you ultimately have the whole thing down and then you step back and look and you see a bubble, again, not a huge deal. You could take your knife. So you got a little utility knife. We got our blade. Just take the tip of the blade, poke that bubble. That'll allow that air to kind of be pushed out from there. As long as it's not a big wrinkle, it's usually pretty good to go. Probably should have cleaned the wall off first too, huh? That would have been a good point to make.
How Ross said, perfectly imperfect.
I mean, may just cut it.
That's, yeah, slice.
Just pull it. Yeah, it's a typical thing. All right, so we got the first half up. Looks pretty decent. This is going to be the guide for our second one. So we'll make sure that we're going to hit that overlap. We're going to line up the same points in the shield up at the top and the bottom, and then we'll follow along. We've got our tape points. We know we're going to try to line up particularly top to bottom of these tape points so that we know the decal's not going to walk on us. For us down here, the only thing that's not great about this, so where our plywood meets here on this seam, it's not really even between the top sheet and the bottom. So there's a little bit of air right here. We'll see. We're going to leave it for now. Ultimately, we may come back with a knife and just slit that and push it in, just to keep air from being behind it. But so far, so good.
Did walk a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, should be all right.
I don't know if the walker set it up.
I mean, it's not to say that the seam is straight either.
Laser.
You do have it, but not everyone would.
You get a laser.
Laser. Let's get started. I think I'll be okay. Is it upside down? All right, so same game here. This time we just peeled the backing off on the floor. It makes it a little bit easier than trying to do it up in the air. But we're gonna line up. I've got my point in the decal right here. I'm gonna try to put that right on top of that point. We're loosely there. Now we're gonna come back and check all our other points that we made. So it looks like we're a little high. So that's a good thing about putting this tape on in the beginning. You can really see your height in the middle. We'll just adjust a little. That's pretty close. I need to drop the corner then. All right, so we feel like we got the top pretty good. We're gonna come down and check the bottom, which is definitely not good. It's gonna have to kick out about there. You got that.
Left a little bit towards you.
That's pretty close. So as you're doing this, you're definitely gonna spend more time lining it up than you are actually applying the decal. It's important though. You got to get it in the right spot. That's ultimately what's gonna make it look the best. So we're pretty darn close here. I can see all the way down my point on the bottom. It's going to line up. My lines coming together in the shield. I got my tape lines really dang close there. So we're feeling pretty good about the start of this. So now we're just working it the same way that we did on the last one, making sure that we're still pulling that tension down so the decal stays running straight, and we don't start to walk on it. Again, with the squeegee, you don't need to be putting a ton of pressure on it either. Just light pressure. It's more about being even with it, right? Not getting ahead of yourself, overlapping, making sure that you're starting from the middle so any air that's behind it gets pushed out to the sides. Do this last section, then we'll take it off. All right, so we got our finished product. Real happy with how it came out. It's gonna look great for the gym. Everybody's gonna love it. Probably take lots of pictures over the years in front of this thing. So thanks, Rob. Thanks, Signs RX team. We love it. All the members are gonna love it.